Today, I'm diving into two transformative stories reshaping the landscape of clean energy. First, I'll explore growing Republican support in Congress for clean energy tax credits as reported by PV Magazine USA, a shift with profound implications for hydrogen investment. Then, I'll dissect a landmark 15-year green hydrogen offtake agreement between RWE and TotalEnergies, announced by RWE, showcasing hydrogen's industrial might. These developments, policy backing, and industry action are accelerating hydrogen's role in decarbonizing transport and manufacturing. All of this on today's Hydrogen Podcast. Our first story from PV Magazine USA on March 10th of this year signals a seismic shift. Republican congressional support of clean energy tax credits is growing. A letter signed by 21 House Republicans, spearheaded by Representative Andrew Garbarino of New York, urges Congress to preserve the Inflation Reduction Act's IRA tax credits, key drivers of hydrogen's economic viability. Let's unpack the technical and economic stakes, because this isn't just politics, it's the backbone of hydrogen's scale-up. The IRA, enacted in 2022, offers a suite of incentives: the investment tax credit, or the ITC, for clean energy equipment, the production tax credit, or the PTC, for renewable generation, and the 45V credit for clean hydrogen production. The 45V is the star here, up to $3 per kilogram for hydrogen, with a carbon intensity below 0.45 kilograms of CO2 equivalent per kilogram of hydrogen, dropping to 60 cents per kilogram at 4 kilograms of CO2 equivalent. That's tailored for green hydrogen from electrolysis, aiming for the DOE's hydrogen shot goal of $1 per kilogram by 2030. The ITC covers 30 to 50% of electrolyzer and renewable project costs, or solar panels at 50 cents per watt, while the PTC offers up to 2.6 cents per kilowatt hour for wind, stackable with 45V for integrated systems. Economically, this is a juggernaut. The Treasury and Rhodium Group peg IRA-driven clean energy investments at $382 billion since 2022, with hydrogen claiming a growing share, or $10 to $15 billion by early 2025, this per Wood Mackenzie estimates. Consider a 100-megawatt electrolyzer plant, $70 to $100 million to build, producing 3,500 tons yearly at 50 kilowatt hours per kilogram, or 175 gigawatt hours of electricity. The ITC cuts costs by $21 to $30 million. 45V adds an additional $10.5 million annually at $3 per kilogram. With green hydrogen at $3 to $5 per kilogram without tax credits, this drops it to $1 to $2, rivaling blue hydrogen's $1.50 to $2 and undercutting diesel's $4 to $5 per gallon energy equivalent. For heavy transport, a Class 8 truck with a 500-mile range uses 15 tons yearly, or $45,000 at $3 per kilogram, versus $65,000 for diesel, saving $20,000 per truck annually. And you scale that to 10,000 trucks, that's $200 million in savings. The Republican letter, signed by 21 of 222 House GOP members, up from 8 in January, frames this as energy affordability and security. Representative Garbarino's Long Island district thrives on manufacturing. Think Nel Hydrogen's electrolyzer gigafactory in Rochester, New York, a $400 million project creating 300 jobs, reliant on ITC. And Texas Representative Dan Crenshaw's district hosts 50 hydrogen projects, or $50 billion potential by 2035, leaning on 45V to decarbonize refineries and fuel cell buses. The U.S. imports 70% of electrolyzer components from China. Preserving credits keeps that $5 billion market domestic, this according to Bloomberg NEF. And technically, hydrogen's ecosystem thrives on this. Electrolysis needs 50 to 55 kilowatt hours per kilogram, or $2.50 to $2.75 at 5 cents per kilowatt hour solar, or $1.50 to $1.65 at 3 cent wind. The PTC boosts wind farms, which are about a 40% capacity factor, and 3 gigawatts were installed in 2024, while the ITC funds battery storage, or 150 kilowatt hours cost, this per NREL, ensuring hourly renewable matching mandated by 45V rules. A 100 megawatt plant with 50 megawatts of solar, which is about $25 million, 50 megawatts of wind, which is about $75 million, and 20 megawatt hours of storage, about $3 million, totals $103 million. ITC slashes it to $70 million. Outputs 3,500 tons at $10.5 million revenue plus $10.5 million in credits, which is about a 20% IRR over 20 years. Now, critics like Roth Capital's Philip Shin warn of a 2025 PTC phase down to 1.5 cents per kilowatt hour, citing GOP fiscal hawks. But Jessica Toko of A10 Associates counters, saying repeal's cost benefit doesn't add up. $382 billion in projects, 300,000 jobs. The letter's scalpel approach suggests tweaks, say tighter carbon thresholds, over a sledgehammer cut. For hydrogen, this is stability. The American Clean Power Association notes 80% of IRA projects are in GOP districts. Think Plug Power's $1 billion Georgia plant. This isn't partisan, it's pragmatic, and hydrogen's the winner. Ready to scale trucks, steel, and ammonia with a policy tailwind. Next, let's look at Europe, where RWE and TotalEnergies sealed a landmark deal, announced March 12, 2025 in a press release from RWE's website. This 15-year offtake agreement commits RWE to supply 30,000 metric tons of green hydrogen annually from its 300-megawatt Lingen, Germany electrolyzer to TotalEnergies' Leuna refinery, starting in 2027 with full delivery by 2030. At 450,000 tons total, it's Germany's biggest green hydrogen contract to date. Now let's break down the tech and economics. Let's start with the plant. Lingen's 300 megawatt PEM electrolyzer, part of the GE2H2 nucleus, uses proton exchange membrane technology, which is high efficiency, think 80 to 85%, fast ramp up in seconds, which is ideal for renewables. And at 50 kilowatt hours per kilogram, it consumes 1.5 gigawatt hours daily, or 547.5 gigawatt hours yearly, to produce 30,000 tons or 82 tons a day. RWE powers it with 1 gigawatt of wind, or 400 megawatts onshore and 600 megawatts offshore, and 500 megawatts of solar, yielding 2,000 gigawatt hours annually at a 40% capacity factor. Excess power feeds the grid or storage, and note the EU rules demand hourly renewable matching, so RWE's grown-out EPA cavern, which is 1 billion cubic meters, holding 150 to 200 tons, buffers dips. Delivery runs via a 130-kilometer pipeline to Leuna by 2027, tying into Germany's 600-kilometer hydrogen backbone by 2032. This is a $5 billion total cost, that per BMWK. The tech's green cred shines. Leuna's refinery, processing 11 million tons of crude yearly, uses 50,000 tons of hydrogen, which is mostly gray. Swapping 30,000 tons for green cuts 300,000 tons of CO2 annually, or 10 million tons over 15 years. This per RWE's 10-to-1 emissions ratio. That's 4.5 million cars off the road, aligning with TotalEnergies' 500,000-ton green hydrogen goal by 2030 across 6 European refineries. And this is where efficiency matters. PEM's 80% stacks beat alkaline's 65%, saving 10 kilowatt hours per kilogram, or 50 cents at 5 cents power, making 15 million yearly at scale. Economically, this is a powerhouse. Lingen's $250 to $300 million build cost, say $275 million, reflects $800 to $1,000 per kilowatt hour for PEM, this per IRENA. At $3 per kilogram, 30,000 tons yields $90 million yearly, or $1.35 billion over 15 years. Now the costs would be 547.5 gigawatt hours at 4-cent wind, or $21.9 million, $20 million in O&M, and $5 million in pipeline fees, or $46.9 million total, netting $43.1 million profit annually, which is about a 15% margin. And scale drops production to $2 per kilogram by 2030, or $60 million in revenue, $13.1 million profit, and a 20% IRR with EU subsidies, which is $50 million from Germany's €3 billion hydrogen fund. TotalEnergies saves $30 million annually on its EU ETS carbon credits at $100 per ton in 2025, scaling to $150 million across 150,000 tons by 2030. For heavy transport, it's a gold mine. 30,000 tons fuels 2,000 Class 8 trucks yearly at 15 tons each, saving $40 million over diesel at $20,000 per truck. RWE's Markus Kreber calls it, quote, proof hydrogen works with incentives. Germany's H2 Global auctions and TotalEnergies' 5 gigawatts of wind deals with RWE in the US and Europe back that up. But there are technical risks, such as the grid upgrades that are lagging and currently need $10 billion by 2030. And storage scaling takes time. But with 10 gigawatts of RWE's US clean power online, this is a transatlantic model. It's not a pilot, it's hydrogen at industrial scale, setting pace for 2030. All right, that's it for me, everyone. If you have a second, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a good review on whatever platform it is you listen to. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, whatever it is. That would be a tremendous help to the show. And as always, if you ever have any feedback, you're welcome to email me directly at info@thehydrogenpodcast.com. So until next time, keep your eyes up and honor one another.